Simply incredible. Winter Storm 93, the storm of the century. I'm Alabama's 13 meteorologist Jerry Tracy. In just over 12 hours, central and north Alabama became a winter wonderland, the likes of which you'd expect to see in Fargo, North Dakota. To a meteorologist, Winter Storm 93 made for a fascinating night and a long weekend. 12 straight hours of heavy snow. At the storm's height, the snow came down so fast and furious, 2 to 3 inches piled up with each passing hour. At first, the snow came straight down, but then the wind began to howl, and gusts reached 40 miles per hour. This whipped the snow into huge highway-clogging drifts. For the next several days, the incredible story changed from snowfall to survival, to stories of people helping each other, people who care. This struggle affected every family. More than 400,000 homes lost power. My family did for 5 days. The numbing cold of living without heat mixed with the warmth of neighbors getting acquainted, some for the very first time, leaving behind friendships that time can't erase. That's the legacy of Winter Storm 93, a legacy that began with a fury on Friday.
Winter Storm 93 blows into Alabama. It is already causing bumper-to-bumper traffic headaches on the interstates.
Winter Storm 93 came in a little earlier than expected. Now, this is what it looked like in Hoover about 7:30 this morning, when it really got heavy by about 9 o'clock. Now, this video was shot here on Red Mountain, and then as quickly as it came, the snow left. By noon, basically clear skies as the kids begin to leave school. Then about 3 o'clock this afternoon, the skies open up again, and that brings us to where we are right now.
So far, the road conditions are still just wet. This won't surprise you. Birmingham folks, Alabama folks are driving about as fast right now as they drive on a sunny, dry day.
It's pretty good right now. It's wet, but it ain't slippery.
Hi, you got some valuable passengers. Are you going to get out tonight?
No, not tonight. I'm going to the grocery store now and be in the rest of the night.
Merchants have a name for it. They call it panic buying, and they say rumors of snow are enough to set it off.
They're 10, 12 deep at the checkout lines. Most folks loading up on staples like milk, bread, and eggs.
People here in Alabama are just not used to it. So when they say snow, they go nuts.
Batteries are going fast. Shovels are going faster. The last snow shovel is already sold.
By 11 this morning, that hardware store had gotten 100 calls from folks looking for sleds. They're fresh out, but Pam, they will have more in on Tuesday.
Folks, we're getting ready here. We're getting ready for probably the biggest March snowstorm in the history of Birmingham. That's what we're talking about. It's going to be quite a storm, especially later tonight and very early tomorrow morning.
More than 2,500 power workers are on standby across the state, waiting for the outages to happen.
Really a night to be careful out there.
This storm is literally producing hurricane-force winds out over the water and big thunderstorms, and it's tracking like so, and that means this snow band will get heavier and heavier as the night wears on.
It's bad. The roads are very, very slushy. And you're especially going to have to watch out for the interstate bridges and overpasses. If they start to freeze, and as Jerry just told you, they most certainly will, it's going to be very treacherous driving. And emergency road crews at this hour are standing by.
Fire departments across the region also take special precautions. Firefighters get a primer on how to drive those big trucks through the snow.
The trucks are difficult to handle under the snow conditions and the icy roads, so you do have to take some extra precautions on emergency runs.
The winds picked up and the snow blanketed the roads throughout most of Friday evening, but even though driving became increasingly treacherous, many folks still ventured out.
You okay? Yeah. Went out to get something to eat, and now we're starting on the road to play having fun in the snow.
I used to live in Minnesota. Now I live in Florida, and I love it. It's wonderful.
That's crazy.
Okay.
We went to get Domino's pizza. Domino's is open.
That's about the only thing open tonight, huh?
Yeah.
Y'all take care. Bye.
All right. See ya.
Now Now let's talk about road closings, and we put together a map for you. Right now, the interstate system in and around Birmingham has not been officially closed, but the areas highlighted on your map show you sections that have been closed. So based on what you're seeing there, it is virtually treacherous and downright impossible to get around in the city tonight.
Just a couple of hours ago, some of the runways got so much snow on them that the flights had to be canceled. As a matter of fact, the airline workers and their passengers will be here tonight for a long time, as a matter of fact, because they have just nowhere to go.
I'm from Hoover, and I don't have any electricity or heat in my home, and I came out early tonight to stay at the hotel to be prepared to be here at 5:30 tomorrow morning.
I think we're here more for moral support.
Yeah.
So is everybody basically through for the night?
Oh, yeah.
Cold and blustery, north wind increasing to 20 to 30 miles an hour.
Greetings from Saskatchewan. This is incredible. I have never seen anything like this in my life. We have blowing snow also mixed with sleet at the present time. And the winds, I'd say, are coming out of the north now in gusts in excess of 20 miles an hour. I say we're easily starting to approach 30 miles an hour in some of the stronger gusts.
When we first arrived at 3 o'clock, we only saw some light dusting on trees and on grass. Now the roads are icing over. I spoke with Common Police just before I came on. They tell me right now, so far, so good, no major accidents to report. However, some people are sliding off the roads.
Folks in Gardendale, Huffman, and parts of western Birmingham are in the dark. Alabama Power tells us that the worse of the weather gets tonight, the more calls certainly they're going to get. Crews are having a particularly tough time with downed trees hitting those power lines.
I want to touch on one thing Jay Prater said. You see this big pine tree back here? We've been out here about an hour. We have listened to the branches and limbs snack, crackle, and pop. These limbs have been tumbling to the ground because the snow is so heavy, as Jay pointed out, and there are power lines all around here, right around those trees, so there's really little doubt that as this night progresses and we go through tomorrow with the heavy snow on these limbs, as the limbs come down, they're going to bring those power lines down right with them.
Barron, you represent something we were talking about earlier in the program. You have been out there tonight for a good while exposed to the elements. Tell us how you're feeling right now. Is it difficult for you to talk yet or anything like that?
I'd like to come in now, if that was all right. You know, I've got high tops on. My toes, I really can't feel them anymore. I really can't feel my fingers anymore. But
it's impressive the amount of accumulation we have here. We're averaging 7 inches now, with 11.5 inches in some of the squalls laying around.
Tomorrow morning, 12 inches on average, 1 foot of snow on average in this red band, with locally as much as 18 inches of snow. Around the edges, it'll taper off somewhat to 3 to 6 inches. Keep in mind, too, though, severe blowing and drifting with strong winds.
It's been a long day and a long night so far, and we've got a long ways to go before it's over.
And it was a long time before it was all over. The snow didn't finally stop until late Saturday morning, but it hit its peak overnight on Friday. At about 1:30 a.m., Jay Prater told the nation what we were living through.
We're going live now to our affiliate in Birmingham, WVTM, where meteorologist Jay Prater joins us. Jay, we hear the storm has you stranded up there on a hill. What's going on?
We're definitely snowbound. Average estimates currently 10 inches of snow here atop Red Mountain. And let's see if we can see what's going on with one of these smaller, and I do emphasize smaller, drifts behind me. You'll see 15 inches of snow. I've probably got a 20 or 25-inch snow berm over here to my right a little bit. Transportation is snarled. Now, the Birmingham airport technically is still officially opening. That means I guess you can go to the snack bar and get a drink, because there are no planes coming in and out of the Birmingham airport at the present time. All interstate systems have been officially closed. The highway grid has been closed. And we're starting to have a problem now with massive power outages. Visibility is less than 1/8 of a mile, and we also have the wind right now picking up to 45 miles an hour. About as much of a blizzard you will ever see in the South.
A few minutes later, we captured a rare phenomenon here in the South, thunder snow. The cold made the thunder roll especially intense, and as you can see in the slow motion replay, the snow on the ground made the lightning strike pretty intense too. Of course, the storm wasn't too intense to keep some people from having some fun, including some of the snowbound folks here atop Red Mountain.
Here we go. He's been practicing. He's ready. All those years of training, all that years of dedication, and here he goes, folks. There he goes. It's a 9.2 with a difficulty. Hell yes. We think he's ahead of the Russian now.
The wind's kind of blowing in from the east, west, north, south.
It's all it's coming from all over.
Yeah.
Just hit it.
I'm thinking hit and hope.
4! 4!
He's nuts.
If you are just now waking up and you're looking out and you're going, oh my goodness, what happened? It's there. It's the storm of the century for the South. Don't plan on going anywhere today. Stay put. Don't feel isolated. You are out there with everybody else is in the same boat you're in, and we're all going to pull through this together. We do know that power is out already to 90 to 95,000 homes. Yes, that will increase as the morning hours go on. But the good news is the snow's about over.
This is serious. It's not something that you should take lightly. We all love the beauty of it, but there's a lot of it, and it can really present a health hazard.
People suffer heart attacks from shoveling snow. Doctors say it's because your heart has to work harder than it does normally in other activities when it's extremely cold. And overexerting yourself could lead to a heart attack.
Mayor, have you talked to the governor? Has he activated the National Guard?
Yes, the governor has. I've spoken with Miss Sadie Magardo, who has been in contact with the governor's office.
All right, now,
he has activated them.
You say that the National Guard is already activated. Do you know for a fact that any of the National Guardsmen and their equipment is out already?
I know that their vehicles are. They are patrolling the interstates according to the information from our emergency management director.
Have you heard?
They are trying to help people who have been stranded.
We're not going anywhere. Okay. And most people shouldn't attempt to travel because even if it does start melting, you'll drive on it, you'll compact it down, compress it, you'll turn it into ice again.
All the highways are closed. All the interstates are closed. And if the interstates are closed, you know all the secondary roads are closed. So there's
They're worse than the main roads.
Yeah, worse than the main roads.
Your
so
driveway is closed.
Your driveway is closed. Your front door may be closed.
But some people did hop into their 4x4s and trek out into the snow. Among them, Mike Royer, who found some other brave souls in Homewood.
You can see just watching them, it's impossible to move around out here. Some guys from the Homewood Fire Department pulled up in their truck. How y'all doing?
Guys.
Good. What is your name?
Ray Cummings.
Ray, you guys have been out most of the night, I understand?
All night long, yes, sir.
It sounds ridiculous to tell people this watching at home, but there's just no way people can get around, right?
No. If they're at home now, they need to stay there. If they're not, they need to be trying to get there.
In fact, this big unit that you've got that we'll show in a moment is about the only one you've got moving around, right?
That's right. We've having trouble with most of our vehicles, except this one. This one's still going pretty good in, in different situations, hills and all. So right now we're in good shape with this one, but we have had trouble with some of the other trucks.
What have you? Who said they were out since 2 o'clock this morning? Was that you? What kind of stuff have you seen overnight? First of all, what's your name?
My name's Brian Swindle.
What have you seen overnight?
Well, we've had gas leaks. We've had heart patients, medical patients. Basically, we've been covering everything tonight. Just anything that would go wrong, because a lot of our vehicles are down, and we're about the only thing moving right now.
All right, you guys be careful. You going back to the station now, or what are you doing?
Yes, sir. We're headed to the station now if we don't get something before we get to it.
Shortly after they talked with Mike, a busy morning for the Homewood Fire Department got even busier. One of the most devastating fires to ever hit Homewood broke out on Green Springs Highway.
Homewood lost 20 of 25 businesses located in a shopping strip mall on Green Springs Highway. Barrett Peterson covered that fire today along with the firemen and joins us now from the newsroom with more on that story. Barrett.
Well, Pam, you could describe this fire in 2 words: total destruction. That's the only way to put it together. We arrived shortly after the firefighters, and this is what we found. The trucks race in, the men attack from all sides, but it's no use.
It was terrible. I really can't put it into words.
Nearly every shop in the Comedy Club Plaza burns to the ground. Black smoke belches from the buildings. There was no way to stop it. The fire had a tremendous jump by the time the firefighters arrived here. 10 businesses were already destroyed, and they had to hustle to try to protect anything they possibly could. But that task was nearly impossible. Standing in the way were bitter cold, deep snow, and howling winds.
You can't walk in it, you can't move in it. Trucks couldn't get in near as fast as we would have.
The snow and smoke are so thick, the fire trucks disappear before your eyes.
We're in rough shape. We've got the same crew fighting this fire that we had working all night last night.
The fatigue is easy to spot, and although the battle was already lost, firefighters trudged back to their war with the flames and snow.
We lost a good bit.
These Homewood firefighters operating on no sleep. They've been working round the clock, answering calls, obviously by far the worst fire that they've had to try to battle. But this was a battle they lost before they ever got there. Pam?
Barrett, the one thing we need to point out about these firemen that were out there fighting that fire, as you say, they've been working round the clock, and they have not been able to bring in reinforcements. The next shift has not been able to get in. Am I correct?
Right, that is correct. And another problem, especially with this fire, was so difficult for them to fight. They had 20, 25 firefighters out there. As one would nearly collapse from an exhaustion, another one would rush in to take his place and pick up that hose and point it in the direction of the flames. Actually, you couldn't really see the flames, point in the direction of the belching smoke. It was so thick, Gene Kirkconnell and I, my photographer, out at the scene, practically succumbed to it ourselves. The closer we got, the thicker it got. We had to move away, and it was very difficult to even cover this fire. The smoke was just so thick, and the wind was just whipping it and blowing it in every direction, and many times it was like totally lost in a fog.
Firefighters weren't the only ones having trouble getting around. Police cruisers, ambulances, and regular folks were also snowbound. But some of these strandings and their rescues made for truly heartwarming images. Reporter Roy Wood found some amazing stories on these snow-covered streets.
Birmingham's interstate system shut down as snow accumulations mounted. Blowing and drifting snow made driving hazardous. Accidents like this one near Highway 31 in Hoover left people traveling through town cold, frustrated, and in need of help.
How long you guys been here?
Oh, since last night.
Just like what time?
1.
What's it been like? You just sitting here all night?
Yeah.
How long y'all been in the car here?
Since about, about midnight. Since about midnight.
Been here since midnight?
Yes. We're froze.
What's it been like?
Horrible.
It's unusual. I think this is the worst storm I've seen.
We decided to win the lottery, I'd buy the state some snow plows.
This is typical of all area highways in the Birmingham area. Stranded motorists who have been out here all night, who have been caught in the grips of the worst winter storm to hit our area in years. As you can see, one picture should be worth 1,000 words. If you don't have to be out here, don't come out.
Passengers on this bus spent the night waiting for help. When help failed to arrive after nearly 8 hours, one of the passengers with a sick infant asked us to help. As we made our way down Highway 31 to Brookwood Medical Center, Vestavia firefighters stopped us seeking help with a pregnant woman. She'd gone into labor, and their vehicle was stuck in the snow. An Alabama power crew with snow chains offered to help, but a short distance down the road, they became stuck. The expectant mother transferred to our truck for the rest of the ride. We didn't make it all of the way, and the firemen carried her the rest of the way on foot.
A couple of days later, we checked back with the family, and it was a little bigger now.
The doctor and the 2 nurses met us halfway, didn't know us or anything. They just got out there and fought the blizzard and helped us back and got this little one in here safely.
What about when they had her on a stretcher walking through the snow?
Well, I was there. I was helping carry her. I was one of them. And I knew that we would get there. It was tough getting through the snow because it was so deep. It wasn't really that slippery. It was just really deep. And I knew that we would get there. I just didn't know how long it would be. When I saw some individuals coming up from Brookwood to help us out, I knew that it would be okay. And then I found out it was the doctor that was going to deliver the baby. So then I felt very comfortable.
It's been an incredible experience. I don't want to have it again, but it's been great.
In all, 101 babies came into the world during Winter Storm 93. Hospital workers say that number is typical, though the circumstances of getting them into the world were anything but. But the storm also began to show its deadly toll on Saturday. In Birmingham, police find the body of a frozen man at a Max bus stop. They say his clothes were no protection against the frigid air. In Ensley, a man dies of a heart attack while shoveling the snow in front of his home. It's more than 6 hours later before an ambulance can take the body away. But another tragedy is avoided on Saturday, one that began with a phone call to our studio.
I have a 2-year-old patient in Sterrett whose house burned to the ground in the early hours of the morning. All the family members got out, but the 2-year-old has burns on the upper body and face and needs to get to Children's Hospital, and I've been unable to arrange anyone to help us with that.
Okay, Dr. Butler, where is the patient?
It's Sterrett, Alabama.
Is that in Shelby County, right?
Yes, it's in Shelby County.
It's in the Sterrett community. Do you know the family's name or any kind of information for folks in Sterrett with four-wheel drive that may be able to help?
Certainly. The patient's name is Cody Brasher.
Obviously, in case of a burn situation like this, help is critical in those first few hours. If at all possible, please help this little child.
Well, the Brasher family apparently was able to get out of the fire, but the little boy did suffer burns as they were trying to escape the house. So.
We started getting phone calls from people in Calera, Bessemer. We had calls from Chelsea, people that lived quite a distance from us that were willing to get in their vehicles and come and pick us up and take us to the hospital.
Cody worries very little about himself. Instead, he worries more about his family and what they've lost.
When did you start realizing that you were hurt?
We went over to my neighbor's house, and we went inside there, and that's when I realized it.
Did you get scared then?
Mm-hmm.
I tell you, he's stolen my heart tonight, and one thing that Cody did tell me is that he's concerned about, besides his family, he lost his coin collection in that fire. That's what he was worried about.
I bet, just as people responded to that horrible accident, I bet somebody out there is going to help Cody start a new collection.
I bet they would.
I bet so. Doctors tell us he is much improved. Cody now says the burns aren't as painful as they were. Boy, we're glad to hear that. He also told Janice Rogers last night that he was certainly happy that his family got out all right, but he did lose one thing that meant a whole lot to him, and that was his coin collection. Well, we knew this would happen. Today, a lot of you, some very generous people, helped Cody start a new coin collection. They brought him coins from their own and said, go toward it.
As the snow slowed, more people began to wander outside, some to assess the severity of what hit us, some to seek shelter. Melina Cunningham found some people who were caught out in it.
They come from everywhere looking for a place to stay or something to eat. This group just missed lunch at the Jimmy Hill Mission and seek food somewhere else. Jim Snyder says over 125 people showed up for lunch today, many more than on a regular day.
On a serious condition like this here, we had open house today, you know, have everyone. We had people from the Metropolitan Guards coming down because they had no power, was eating with us.
As temperatures drop below freezing tonight, it's going to be awfully dangerous for anyone to be outside, especially the homeless. And the Jimmy Hill Mission say they've got room for everyone who needs it. Already, every local shelter is filled to capacity. They're not turning anyone away.
No, they're not turning anyone away. All the shelters working together is keeping everybody off the streets that want to be off of it.
Since we talked to you last, Glenn Stewart, my photographer, and I have been stuck and stuck bad. In fact, everybody standing around said, there's no way you're going to get out. We called the station. Glenn pulled out a putter, a golf putter, and dug this vehicle out with a putter. He is my new hero. Those cars off to the side have at least 2 feet of snow on top. Some of it that fell, some of it that is blown on there, but look at those parked cars. I know you're probably curious what it's like to be out and about. Well, this is what it's like to be out and about. And you can see the 2 tracks where a few four-wheel drive vehicles have been. If you stay in those, and if you've got four-wheel drive, you can get around. And you can see up there people on foot as well. But to get around without four-wheel drive is impossible. It just cannot be done. I do notice as we approach this intersection, these traffic lights are working. Let's see what this corner is like with me driving, Glenn. Okay. Well, that's going to do it. I think it pretty much shows you that this is no place for the faint at heart, and no place for me, to be honest with you. This is Mike Royer reporting from coming out of Mountain Brook into the Birmingham city limits.
Winter Storm 93 has left many in our viewing area in a state of paralysis, with some areas reporting snow drifts as high as 3.5 feet. City vehicles and emergency crews just can't get around. Now, the state of emergency means the National Guard should be mobilized, but a mix-up in communication and the fact that many Guard units were not on alert status has delayed action from the Guard. According to the Jefferson County Emergency Management Agency, the first Guard units were activated around 2 o'clock this afternoon.
From your perspective, what are the top 3 things that we need to be concerned about in the community?
Well, it's going to get very cold tonight. It's going to be sub-freezing weather. And we're concerned about people who don't yet have power restored. I think if anybody's in a critical situation, our first concern is that they will contact our emergency service and try to get to a shelter someplace. That's our number 1 concern. Number 2 is to try to keep people off the streets tonight. If you can, if you don't have to go out, please don't. And number 3, of course, is to secure the public safety. We do have a number of our units now, police units out actively patrolling, and we just need the cooperation of all the citizens.
Late this afternoon, Alabama power crews are restoring electricity at a rate of 1,000 homes an hour. The task ahead of these men and women is overwhelming. At 3 o'clock, 396,000 Alabama families were without power. 150,000 homes are dark here in Jefferson County. Power crews are focusing on sections of the region that can be reconnected quickly and have a critical need, such as hospitals and nursing homes.
What did you just do for that gentleman?
Gave him some hot homemade soup.
Why'd you do that?
He was out all night, and he's been for 3 hours trying to get up the hill. My 7-year-old's been rooting him on and said, Mommy, carry him some soup. And I didn't know there was other trucks out here. I brought some out here.
They need some snowplows or anything. Just clear the road, at least 1 lane through the road.
As the sun goes down in Alabama, the slush on the roadways will turn to ice very quickly.
Saturday's snowfall set an incredible record, and when the temperatures fell on Saturday night, another record tumbled along with it. By morning, it would be 2 degrees in Birmingham, adding a layer of ice onto the slush-covered streets and putting all efforts to get the city back to normal on hold for another night.
Don't get out there right now. No churches are open. You don't have to go anywhere this morning. Roads are treacherous. Roads are still closed. All interstates are closed. And it's not going to start changing until maybe a little bit later this morning, perhaps 9, 10, 11 o'clock.
In fact, there's even a warning out that if you are on the interstates, you run the risk of being ticketed.
Another reason for not getting out is that if you wreck your car under these types of conditions, that your insurance does not pay for it.
This is the National Guard. This is along Green Springs Highway. And those chains that you see right there, they're going to be used to pull out a trucker. Now, this trucker drove in, got into Alabama from Cincinnati, Ohio. And he was losing heat in his cab of his truck, but he told me he wasn't going to leave that rig there. He has $50,000 worth of cargo in that trailer there. What they're looking for now are motorists who are on the highway, people who really need some serious help.
The roads were still treacherous, but the National Guard was there to help people to shelters. Nearly 100 shelters comforted people in and around the greater Birmingham area. During the weekend, we stopped by some of these shelters and found, for the most part, bright spirits.
Who's driving it to you? I am. I'm going to move it. We got everybody blocked. We try to keep it open so people can come on in. If you want to help these people get in, yeah, we'll get them I'll be glad to move. Okay, we'll get them in. Got a little baby there.
Thank you very much, Joe.
Okay, good luck to you.
All right, thank you.
Seems like every time you go somewhere, you got to stop and help 5 or 6 people on the way, so it takes a long time to get anywhere and back.
We're in Springfield, Missouri, and we're going to Panama City Beach and just got stuck in the snow.
All right, just sit down, ma'am. There you go.
Thank you.
You're mighty welcome.
I wanted you to help with this line here, Ed. That's all right, we got it now. Yo!
Come on back a little bit, give these other people some room.
I'm doing it from the bottom of my heart. It's just something that everybody needs a little helping hand every once in a while.
What do you think about the weather and how it's kind of brought folks together here?
Everything's done for a reason, I guess, and everybody needs a little helping hand every once in a while. So the weather just made it well. We just show how everybody got a little love in the world somewhere, just a little bit in their heart.
I think this situation has brought our group closer together as a whole, and you know, we all have very good attitudes, and as you can see, we're pretty energetic this morning, even though we were stuck in the snow.
This is the Homewood Armory, and some folks think it was sent from heaven because it provided them shelter last night and overnight. Not only folks from Homewood in this area, but folks from out of state as well. And I bumped into some folks from my home state, from Indiana. You're from Bloomington, right?
I sure am.
How in the world did you end up at the Homewood Armory?
Well, it took a long time to get here.
Yeah, I'll bet. What happened out on the highways?
Everything.
It was a long day yesterday.
It sure was.
You're traveling with two small children. Who finally got to you and brought you here?
Major Jackson, one of the National Guard.
Okay. Well, we're glad you're safe and we're glad you're warm. Where are you heading once the snow melts a little?
To Destin.
Okay, going to stay there forever?
I sure am.
Okay, thanks for talking to me. I appreciate it. Nice to see you. We're going to go on the inside here, and we've already been in and talked to a couple of folks. We want you to meet them, and just know that things are getting better and people are warming up here. And I'm going to work my way over here to talk to Colonel Van Carter. Colonel Carter is one of the gentlemen in charge of the armory here in Homewood. And good morning. What kind of a day and night have you had?
Well, we've had an interesting 12 hours, so to speak. We started in here and opened the EOC really early yesterday morning, but we started getting busy about 4 o'clock yesterday afternoon. And we didn't have enough vehicles, and we had what we call a Blazer type vehicle, and then we got 20 what we call Humvees, which is the all-terrain vehicle, which helped us a whole lot in picking up people. We were more in the humanitarian effort than we were anything.
Our power went off 10:30 Friday night, and we toughed it out the first night. It wasn't bad, but yesterday it just got awfully bad, and it took us from 3 o'clock until about 9 o'clock to get here because of so much confusion going on. And we had, if it weren't for neighbors giving us some help, we all kind of piled in together, we would have had an even tougher time.
It's good to see you. How did you end up getting over here to the armory?
No electricity overnight.
Yeah. Who brought you here?
A volunteer with a tractor. I mean, what do you call it? A wheel?
Four-wheel drive, yeah.
They were very courteous.
Well, good.
They were volunteers.
Good. Well, I'm so glad that you're okay, and your sister right there behind you. We won't tell your age, but she's in her 90s, isn't she?
She's 93.
93 years old. We won't tell your age, okay?
I'm 84.
You're 84 and proud of it.
We've even got people in the offices that need a little privacy. We've got one person back here that's had a tracheotomy recently, and he's in the office there.
I went to bed about 11 o'clock, but I didn't sleep. I was scared to death. I was, and especially when it was lightning and thundering. Oh, I never heard it before like that with the sun, with the storm. I have enjoyed it. We've been eating and having a ball with everybody. Wonderful people here.
What do we have going on in here? Oh my goodness, it is breakfast. Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you this morning?
Fine.
You ready for breakfast?
Yes.
Tired and ready?
Yes, ma'am.
So I understand some special folks are cooking breakfast for you guys this morning.
Yeah, we got some grit specialists working for us.
Grit specialists. Exactly who are these grit specialists?
2 young ladies from Minnesota.
Now, what's wrong with that picture? Minnesota and grits. Let's see. Hey, how you doing? What's your name?
I'm Carrie.
And you are from Minnesota. You're on spring break, right?
Yeah, well, we were on spring break. We were stranded. Now we're here.
So what happened?
Well, we were backed up in traffic for about, it was 16 miles back, and we had to, for 25 miles, we spent 27 hours. We spent the night on the road with a bunch of cars and trucks in front of us.
Okay, the question on everyone's mind at home right now has to be, how did you end up cooking grits?
Well, we came in here last night and everybody was so nice around here, and everybody was saying, oh, have you tried grits? Have you tried grits? And we said, no, and said, well, you should see how we make them. So we thought, hey, we'll just stay up all night and come in the kitchen and see what we can do, and they just let us help.
Do you have any idea what you're doing?
No.
For the folks stuck at the Birmingham airport, the two-day ordeal rolled on through Sunday. The scene there was being played out all over the eastern seaboard as the storm shut down most major airports. Airport authority officials kept us informed until the siege finally ended.
Know where you're going,
Yeah.
because all of the major airports in the Northeast are closed, and I guarantee you will not open today, probably not even tomorrow. You need to understand that you should call the airline where you think you're headed and let them tell you what their flight situation is today. Carol Wyndham.
Yeah, let's find out right now. Carol Wyndham from the airport authority is on the telephone. Carol?
Yes, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. Situation still the same out there?
I beg your pardon?
Situation still the same? Everything?
Well, yes, the airport remains closed at this point in time. However, we've got crews out there working this morning trying to clear the runways. As a matter of fact, we're trying to even get, additional snow removal equipment to, speed up the process.
Guess what? We just got some good news. The Birmingham airport is now officially open.
It's open. But there's no place else you can land unless you go west.
Well, you just can't go to the Northeast.
Once the weather warmed up a little on Sunday, it was back to work for power crews as they took to the streets and the air to tackle the hundreds of thousands of power-hungry customers.
This is the main control center for Alabama Power. It's filled with people who are keeping contact with the crews that are out there working, and not just Alabama Power crews. This board along this wall lists times and locations and how many power outages there are. All of these men you see back here are planning, talking to crews, moving crews around, making sure that they're doing their best to get to where they need to go. Has Alabama Power ever faced a situation so severe as this one?
This is probably one of the worst we've seen, other than a hurricane. There's so many outages. We had between a third and a half of all of our customers without power yesterday and continues into today. I know that's a very severe inconvenience for our customers. We're doing everything we can to move our crews to where they're most needed and bring other crews, some other utilities in.
This crew in Homewood battles a frozen chain just to get their ladder out of the truck. Two men working alone to give this neighborhood heat and light.
Usually on a storm, if it's of this magnitude, we're going to get help from somewhere. Well, the whole area was hit. We can't get help.
What's wrong with this knob here, Ken?
Looks like it was on a J-hook, Terry.
Their thanks comes from the families they helped.
I am so thrilled. We've got a small child, and it's been awful. So we're really excited about having it back on.
Behind the snowman at the Mountain Brook Inn.
Oh, it's great.
Light, finally, for the people staying here.
The lights just came on. I'm trying to keep everybody real quiet, and I don't want them to use anything because I want these lights to stay on. It's cold in here.
It's a joy that spread from the guests to the cooks as the lights come back on. This chef now has his eyes peeled on the potatoes he couldn't see till now.
And we've been cooking just on gas all day.
And this guy's got dishpan hands from cleaning all these cups and plates in the sink.
We're going to use the dishwasher now.
This isn't a happy feeling shared by everyone. Here in Vestavia Hills, homes are still dark, and so is the mood.
No power, no phone. Power company come out here, I get them women, whiskey, whatever they want.
At 1 o'clock yesterday, 398,000 Alabamians were without power. 24 hours later, 319,000 people still in the dark. And at this hour, Alabama Power Company has about 2,500 cleanup crews out in the field. I know that they wanted to get up this morning as quickly as possible and see actually what the damage looked like from the air. Now that they've done that, describe what they found.
Well, they have found exactly what they knew they were dealing with, but what they're able to do from the air, Pam, is assess the problem much better. They can see their crews, where they are, what they're doing, and see the other areas where the crews need to go. Now, our viewers certainly don't need me to tell them that the problem is widespread. It continues to be. But what we saw from this storm here in 1993 from the air today is even more awesome when you get up in the sky. We were on board Alabama Power's helicopter this afternoon as Birmingham Division Manager Terry Waters flew over your home. While the 24-hour work is being done by crews on the ground, Alabama Power officials circle overhead, both to monitor the progress of the work and to look for downed power lines. You can imagine being down there on foot, walking around looking at power lines and trying to spot trees down over power lines. It's much more efficient for the power company to get up like this, where they can spot remote areas where power lines are down from way up here.
I think our progress is going pretty good. One thing that's been particularly difficult about this storm, however, though, for the past 2 days, it's been very difficult for us to get into a large number of areas to even survey the damage. The roads now are beginning to clear. Road graders are working and clearing out some areas, so we are getting our evaluation teams now spread out in all areas to thoroughly evaluate the situation. But I can tell you from 21 years of experience here at the company that this is the worst storm that our division has ever experienced.
Reporter Kim Blake tells us Alabama Power says it could be days before these folks have their electricity once again.
I have never seen this much snow in my life.
Ruth Cannon and her family have been without power since Friday. She says in all her 24 years in Birmingham, she's never seen such a brutal winter storm.
Well, I'm coping with it. I understand the situation, and I feel that they're doing the best that they can. And we will just be patient until they can get it cleared up.
Chester Williams says he's been huddled around a gas heater since the storm blew in. He says he tried to flag down a passing power truck, no luck.
It's been rough. Don't have any power in the house. It's cold. The kids are. We all kind of bonded in 2 rooms right now. We have a little gas heater going.
It'll take several days to restore power to all of the people who are without it right now. And we're doing everything we can, working very long hours.
These trucks have been in and out nonstop, and some of the drivers have barely had a chance for a meal. But they'll keep working until the job is done.
And one of the men fighting to restore your power now fights to recover from burns suffered from a high voltage shock. This Alabama power worker was electrically shocked around 3 o'clock this afternoon. The man was working at a substation near Clanton when he was hit with about 15,000 volts of electricity.
On Sunday, it also became clear that some people's livelihood took a tougher hit than just a few days without power. Businesses, farms, homes, they all suffered from the storm.
Everything is soggy at St. Martin's in the Pines retirement home, all because of this broken water pipe.
How strong was the rushing out of there?
Like a waterfall, just like like Niagara Falls.
Water soaked several apartments. Clara Ebaugh got a rude awakening.
What was it like?
Got up at 5 o'clock this morning and stepped in water.
The water pipe burst up on the 3rd floor, but drenched everything down here on the 1st floor. This is the kitchen pantry. Here's some Jell-O, that's a goner. Here's a nice wine glass. All the rooms lost water, some lost heat, but the tenants, all over 70 years old, never lost their spirit.
In just about every residential neighborhood, you can find downed trees blocking streets. Some unlucky homeowners even have fallen trees on their rooftops. Power poles and downed lines in some areas look as if they were toppled like dominoes. Businesses suffering the most from the effects of the storm appear to be those with prefabricated buildings. Jim Skinner Ford and Centerpoint lost their main showroom. The building collapsed late Friday under the weight of the snow piling up on the roof. At least 20 cars in the showroom are lost, crushed under the steel beams and other debris.
Around 1:30 probably, I heard 2 loud bangs and it sounded like atomic bomb or something like that. And then I was standing in there and the ceiling caved in. And I managed to run, and just lucky that window was the only one broke out on this side, and I ran out that door.
Southern Precision lost its storage building. It folded late Friday or Saturday morning from the weight of snow on its roof. Used as a storage building, no one was inside at the time. Producing Faith Academy off Grantswood Road lost their new church. The 1,000-seat building is now a total loss.
Well, the initial reaction was not one of jubilation, but we just believe the Bible. We believe that God will do it again. We built this one by faith. We didn't take up any offerings. We didn't borrow any money. So it's just giving us another opportunity to build again, see what God can do.
If you have indeed lost all of your crop, what does that mean for you for the rest of this year?
Well, it means that I won't have any income from my peaches.
You can see that the weight of the snow has just caused the metal to bend. Again, this is Birmingham lumber and building materials on the west side of town.
This walkway also had a canopy on it, but when workers first got here, they found it collapsed under a ton of this snow. But take a look at this. The danger now is this canopy. You can see it's already buckling right here, right outside Mrs. Kemp's English class.
Tiny chicks, just 5 days old, desperately try to stay warm. As the winter storm slammed this Talladega County poultry farm, tons of snow crushed the roof of this chicken house. Just breaks your heart to see this.
Yeah. A lot of hard work put in here, but it's gone now.
There were nearly 18,000 birds in this house. This is one of the few chicks that survived. Unfortunately, he won't live for long. They shiver, their eyes barely open. Temperature, 50 degrees. It's a catastrophe for poultry farmer Earl Pettis, but right now, he's actually counting his blessings. You see, the night of the storm, he was working in this barn. He left for a moment to get supplies.
And was back to this house in about 3, not later than 4 minutes. The thing had done fell in.
You had someone watching over you that night.
Must have.
On Sunday night, the weekend was ending calendar-wise, but life was far from normal. Nearly every school in the community canceled classes for Monday morning. Quite a few businesses also called off plans to reopen. But as darkness settled, more families found power returning, and the worst behind them.
North and South Streets are very good. 20th Street, 18th Street right here is very good. The East-West Streets still have a lot of snow on them. They all have patches of ice. They're all going to have patches of ice for all of the day today.
It's going to be a lot better as the morning progresses, but by all means, don't anticipate being anywhere on time.
The number of folks that are in the dark has actually gone down significantly. 50,000 less people are without electricity. I believe the current figure now is, let's see.
249,000
statewide.
130,000
Metro. So that the numbers are coming down. If you know somebody in the dark, their chances of getting back online are improving as the day goes on.
We believe Bryant Gumbel is going to be interviewing Tracy Haynes from here at Alabama's 13.
Tracy, good morning. What's the situation there this morning? Good morning, Brian. Well, right now we've got clear skies, and we've got a temperature of about 21 degrees right now, so things are a lot better than they have been. I got you a visual present, and that is the snow slab that we still have left. This is something that you guys are used to seeing a lot of. We don't get very much of that at all. We've had some fun with it here on the hill, but as you mentioned, down in town, it was just a nightmare. Since there isn't a snowplow in Alabama, can I assume that most of the roads are impassable? Well, it's not that there's not a snowplow in Alabama. Basically, the city doesn't own one, so they had to rent one. The state had to use National Guard equipment to get the roads open. The roads were impassable for 2 days, but they're finally starting to be scraped open. The city's going to start thinking very hard about getting some snowplows, because every once in a while this is going to happen.
If you're going to the Highland Avenue area down Nontezuma, I would suggest that you not do that. That is like a complete sheet of ice.
And it's a steep hill.
Yes, I personally witnessed one car slide all the way down and slam into 2 other cars.
Oh.
Broke my dang sled.
dozens and dozens of trucks parked all over Moody and Leeds at this time, and it's mainly because they can't go any further. That backup is about 5 miles.
Is this near the Leeds area, and if it was, how long is this pilot supposed to continue? We had first heard that it may last till mid-morning before it's actually cleared up.
That is correct, what you said. Exit 144A is where we picked it up at. That was the beginning of it. I talked to some people who said it was all the way down to Brompton. That's about, it was really at a standstill. Nothing was moving.
We've got 8 degrees to go before we're above the freezing mark.
Yippee.
And we're not going back down there anymore this week.
What you're about to see may not be for children. It may not be for the faint of heart.
Come on in. Here she is, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Bless your heart.
Good morning.
Bless your heart. I can't believe you let us come in here. You look fine, but...
Well, no, I'm putting that stuff under the eyes to We've been living in here for the past few days. We got our towels over here and our toothbrushes and our baby oil. We don't know whose clothes are whose. They're just kind of everywhere.
Can you believe it?
That's really something else. It looks like it's about waist high for you.
Hey, let's find out. I'm staying on top of it pretty good, but as you can see, if you stand still,
you're up to
I'm
your
not
knee.
even down to the street yet.
Weather's making it a lot easier for some of the road conditions. However, some of the roads are still in pretty bad shape out there, as Mike showed you at downtown where those streets have been graded. Traffic's moving rather well. In some suburbs where there's been no grading, people are still can't get out of the driveways.
Monday was also the day most of us felt comfortable venturing out onto the streets. Graders worked to clear the remaining snow and ice from the streets, and glimpses of green poked through the layer of white on neighborhood lawns. By afternoon, there was even a good old-fashioned traffic jam on the interstates. The clearing streets gave Alabamians a chance to get out and check up on the people they care about, crossing their fingers that everything was okay. Janice Rogers went along as a family member looked in on 98-year-old Frances Thomas.
So what have you been covering up with?
I had some blankets on this bed, and then them beds in there. I went in there, thought maybe there wasn't no windows in there, you know, not but just one, and it might be warmer in there.
Tell you what, I'm gonna leave these with you, okay? Put these on your hands.
What you gonna put on?
I'll be okay.
I didn't try to call nobody because you couldn't have come if you'd called.
I've been calling all over town since day
Nobody's
one.
going to fool with an old person all by themselves and think you wrap up in some quilts and die. I kept warm with my dog sitting there and putting them up there, and then she went in the room, but she was scared of the spring in the bed, I reckon, you know. I think a long time ago maybe some of them had put on a spring or something, I don't know what.
So you had no one that was able to come physically and check on you and help you, did you?
No relatives. See, Helen couldn't come from way over there, and she's all the relatives I got.
The worst was over for Frances Thomas and for most area families. As the day rolled on, life settled into its daily routines.
This stuff's like gold, and the rush is on.
Brad, try and get a loaf really hurry, you know, before that's all gone.
I mean, everything's just blown out, from soup to juices, you name it, it's going.
Now, when you get out to the grocery stores, you may still find a lot of empty spots along the shelves. Your favorite brand may not be in stock. But keep in mind, people are buying just as quickly as workers are stocking, and it may be several more days before things actually get back to normal around here.
Our goal, 95% of these lights on by Thursday night. That's an aggressive goal.
We know where the outages are. We're working on these, and we will have you back into service this week.
people without power tire of hearing, we'll get to you just as soon as possible. Linemen that have worked 18 and 20 hours straight are just plain tired.
We worked about 26 hours straight the first day, and I think about 24 the second. This is still working now.
You're holding up okay?
It ain't too bad.
Well, everybody appreciates what you're doing. Keep up the good work.
Okay.
When the lines are cleared, the final step is to close the switch. How does it feel to see these trucks roll in here?
Hallelujah. Hallelujah.
Slowly but surely, life for Alabama families returned to normal after Winter Storm 93. With the help of crews from more than a dozen other states, Alabama Power met its goal of restoring 95% of its customers' service by Thursday. And by Saturday night, workers declared their monumental task finished. Street crews carried off the brush and branches brought down in the storm. Schools slowly reopened, though some needed a bit of work to make things safe for students. And those new sleds, snow shovels, and tire chains returned to storage, moving deeper into the closet until the storm of the next century blows into Alabama.
It was the worst storm in the history of Alabama, severely damaging trees, property, and power lines. But it also brought out the very best in people who reached out to help others in need. Alabama Power says thanks to you. And to our customers, thank you for your patience, your confidence, and your support.
10-year-old Cody Brasher is doing fine now. He was burned when a fire destroyed his family's home.
Desperately needing to get to the burn unit.
Cody made it to the hospital because of caring people. And Denise Davis is fine. Denise was on her way to the hospital to have a baby when she got stuck in the snow. Because of caring people, she was carried the last mile by hand. Oh, this is Garrett Davis. He's doing fine too, because of people who care.